Hi everyone, welcome back to another adventure. I'm in the Lake District in January. Can you tell? Let's get back to the start a couple of days ago and get you up to speed on what's happened so far. It's mid-January, bit of a chill in the air, nice blue sky. I don't think I can put it off any longer. Time to saddle up with this wee beastie and start walking. Gonna try not to sound too out of breath as I reach the first uphill. Oh! What was I saying before I was rudely erupted and fed on my arse? What a muppet. What a glorious start. And I'm heading somewhere up there. Have I forgotten something? I always say that it's not knowing what you've forgotten that's the worrying thing. Once you realise what it is, then you can relax. I usually go by how full the rucksack is and how heavy it feels. It's not too full and it doesn't feel ridiculously heavy either. So that does make me think, oh my gosh, I must have forgotten something. Not as cold as it's been for the last week or two. And there is talk of temperature inversions as well. So when I was trying to work out what to do for this first night, that was a big factor. I could have been a softie, headed straight for the campsite, but because I got some time, some daylight and enthusiasm for fresh legs, I decided to head up Stickleton, and you never know, we'll see if there's an inversion in the morning. Oh, and I've remembered, I've just realised what I left in the car. I left my slightly warmer base layer in the car. Look at that, the views are opening up now, getting nice and high. I'm about the same height as the top of Pike Obisco, which is that thing there. Oh, I've got to tell you though, these hills are a bit longer and a lot steeper than anything North Hampshire has to offer. Look! Snow! Get me camping in the snow. Just a few patches around. The sun's going down now. Look at those views. There's just a small matter of the last bit of a climb up there. Hopefully the tarn is waiting for me. Oh, so what do you know? Finally got here. That's quite a consistently steep climb up here, but once you get to Stickleton, it's what a place. Look at those incredible cliffs. Right, enough patting myself on the back. I'm going to mooch about and choose somewhere to stick the tent because I think the light's fading fairly fast now, so I've got about 30 minutes to find a spot. Whilst I'm talking to you, I maybe seem a little bit distracted because I'm just on the lookout for where to spot the tent, and I think we might have found it. See that little platform there? It's got my name all over it, that is. Ka-ching! Perfect! I love it when a plan comes together. Right, rucksack off. Let's get busy, get some shelter. So the tent's gone up pretty well. So now, just having a quick look around, making sure everything's okay. I haven't dropped anything. All the pegs are in nicely, and taking one last look. The scenery here really is amazing. Then I'll get in and get warm and get comfortable. What a great start, eh? You know, some people have said lately that they struggle this time of year to get out and about, especially while camping. You know, it's not very appealing and tempting, but I've got to say, at times like this, okay, there isn't so much daylight to enjoy, it's a bit colder, but it's crisp, it's fresh, snow patches around, it's fantastic. I think it's about time I got in that tent because it's getting a bit chilly out here. Oh, some time later. First priority was to get myself nice and warm and comfortable in a sleeping bag. Oh, and I've got this nice happy glow. I'm in my happy place. Managed to pick up a bit of a phone signal and check in with folks back home, so everything's good. And the next priority is to get something warm to eat and Might make myself a mug of a hot drink as well. It feels really good to be back in the tent, you know. Yeah, it's home from home, if you like. I've been in it so many times that I'm really used to how things go and the best way of doing things. So I'm really chuffed that I'm here. I'm sounding a bit smug, aren't I? Something's going to go wrong, I just know it. But for the moment, blooming brilliant. It's definitely night time now. It's really pitch black outside. Having said that, the full moon has just come over the horizon, so things might be a bit lighter later on. I'm really nice and warm and comfy and cozy in my sleeping bag. It's lovely and snug feeling. It feels really good. Had some nice food, a nice hot drink. I'm all settled in for the night. A little bit of a breeze, and I'm hoping that might keep the condensation down. Don't know if you can see the, just gently moving around. So with a bit of luck, we'll stay nice and dry in the morning, hopefully anyway. Looking forward to tomorrow, actually. Been having a quick look at the map. Nice high level walking, should be excellent. I'm just got my fingers crossed that in the morning there's a nice inversion, or at least a clear morning, so I get some amazing views. Right, that's it for now. So see you in the morning. Oh, good morning. Sometime later. Right, the sun's just come up. It's 1 degree inside the tent. Let's have a look at what it's like outside. Good news is warm mug of nice coffee. I use coffee bags, give a really good flavour. I've got a video about making coffee in the wild if you're really interested. Fantastic. And also my favourite breakfast on the trail, which is a porridge with some strawberry and fruit added, which is really tasty. It's my go-to. So today I'm going to get up onto the ridge and do a nice long ridge walk northwards, and hopefully find a nice pitch. Last night, I've got to say, bit chilly. It felt a bit chilly anyway. I've slept in much colder conditions, but it certainly felt a bit fresh last night for me. And it looks like today has dawned clear, so I should really at some point, once I've had my breakfast, get out of this sleeping bag and get sorted out and get moving. But as usual, the lure of a warm sleeping bag is very, very tempting. The sun is just coming up and you can see there's a slight nice orange glow on the outside of the tent. And the other really good bit of news is that the slight breeze overnight means there's absolutely no condensation on the tent. Feels really, what's the word for it, really alive to be here. And the experience is really rich of being out in the wild. It's brilliant. And I don't know how much of it is just because I've done it a little bit now, so I've got a experienced bank to call on, so there's much less worry and uncertainty. So I can just sort of relish the whole thing without too much worry. This is going to be a cue for a massive fail, isn't it? But I'm saying this all, of course, before I have to climb up the first hill this morning. I reserve the right to change my mind. Look at this. Blooming excellent. Blooming excellent. And although it got down to 1 degree inside the tent last night, outside there's a frost and the surface of the lake is frozen this morning. So it was a chilly one after all. No wonder I had to get nice and warm inside my sleeping bag. But look at the way that the morning sun is bathing the cliffs there. Absolutely glorious. And at the moment, not a breath of wind either. So perfect conditions, tent's nice and dry. The sun's just starting to warm things up inside. So a perfect start to the morning. My path swings round to the right of these cliffs and round up on to the top. So quite looking forward to seeing the views when we get up there. Walking into the sun, and the air's warming up nicely now. So taking the puffy off, and I'm just in base layers. What is it they say? They start cold. And I know that in a few hundred meters time, I start ascending quite seriously for a mile. So I'm sure I'm going to warm up pretty quickly. It looks like a good inversion down in the valleys as well. So should get a better view of that as I climb up. So off we go. All right, so we've got the stream here. Might have to put the camera down for a second whilst I pick my way across it and try and keep my feet dry. Well, yet again, I'm doing an impression of a steam train as I'm puffing my way up this hill. Whew. I have been on some pretty long walks at home trying to keep in shape, but with the best will in the world, 20 miles around the rolling downs of North Hampshire isn't going to prepare you really, is it, for the Lake District. Luckily, there's some amazing views emerging, especially behind me, so I've got a very good reason to stop every now and again, take a breather and soak up the scenery. But I guess the fact that I can talk whilst I'm going uphill is quite a good sign. Now, following the path's a bit tricky because there are snow patches and so forth along the way, obscuring the path, which isn't the biggest path in the world anyway. Look at that. That's mega, isn't it? So that big one over there, that's Helvellyn, Nethermost Pike and a Dollywagon Pike. Somewhere in the notch there is Grisdale Tarn. Nestling in the valley is Grasmere and Ambleside, and the beautiful scenery beyond. Ooh, mega views today. Getting a bit more breezy up here now, but the views keep opening up. And so that's Sergeant Man, just about to skirt around the back of that. We've got Rossett Pike, and then in the distance Scarfell, and over on that side Bowfell. So I got round to behind Sergeant Man now, taking 5, because it looks like most of the steep climbing is done for now, so it's getting a bit gentler now. In the distance there's a roar of a RAF jet showing off, doing some Mach loops or whatever. But now I've come up onto the top, the breeze is a bit fresher, so hence the puffy and the hat. I might put a wind shell on soon as well, to be honest. This is an epic day's backpacking in the mountains. Yeah, happy. Right, that's the trig point on High Raise, and what a stunning place this is. Why am I so excited? Let me just show you the panorama. So Bowfell, Scarfell Pike, Great Gable, looking down. Well, there's Catbells where I camped on Cumbria Way, Skiddaw in the distance and Ben Cathra. Carry on round, that Helvellyn, and all the way round down to the south and the sea. It's absolutely brilliant here, and my geography of the Lake District isn't so good, but I tell you what, looking around here, it's pretty much sorted out. I'm really happy I can see the route that I came along on the Cumbria Way. My plan is to follow this ridge along and hopefully pitch somewhere along there later this afternoon. Right, that's enough hanging around getting cold. Time to start moving again. It's really nice to take a break on High Raise in that shelter cairn there, just to chill and to soak up the scenery. But I'm very conscious that this time of year there isn't too much daylight, so I can't dawdle. Looks like there's not too far to go, but a lot depends on where I find that's a good spot to put the tent. And it's all a bit unknown, the territory, and the map doesn't give me too many clues. I'm really worried that the ground's going to be very boggy and wet from all the molten snow. So we're just going to take our chances and see what we find, I suppose. Breeze, the wind. I'm going to call it a wind. It's not breeze, it's wind. There's a lot stronger on the top now than it was earlier on. It's picked up, it's quite fresh, and that's going to be a factor too. I need to spot somewhere that's got a little bit of shelter so I don't get buffeted too much. Oh, it's nice to be walking again though, I tell you. Yeah, so you can feel your body warming up. It's a bit difficult to concentrate when all I want to do really is just stare at the scenery that's in front of me. Let me show you. So this is what's in front of me as I'm walking along. Behind that cluster of rocks and the spike is the magnificent Helvellyn row of hills. Looks like the path goes downhill. There's a small pass and then up the other side, heading straight at Blencathra. And behind me, I keep looking back, Scafell Pike and Great Gable and so on and so on. Too many to mention. I tell you what though, it's getting a bit cold. A little problem, my fancy microphone with the wind muff has fallen off and is somewhere over there. So I'll do the best I can, but forgive me from now on, the audio's got a bit of wind noise. I'm slightly annoyed. Dang it. Oh well, it's not the end of the world, I'm sure we'll survive. Right, let's get up this hill and warm up a bit. Right, it's time for an update. I've dropped down a few hundred feet now and the wind is a bit less down here, but it's still quite strong and gusty and chilly, and I'm having a good old dither. I can't make up my mind what to do. Judging by the kind of terrain I've been going through so far, it looks like it's quite windswept, there isn't a particularly good path, and it's probably very boggy. So I don't know what to do. I'm going to do a few more 100 meters and see if I can get a better idea. I also could really do with a phone signal. Honestly, this is turning into a bit of a wild goose chase. I can't make up my mind about where to head to with a tent for tonight. The ground is really rough, tussocky, damp and sloping, so this is no good round here. There is a stream down there, but it looks from here to be very boggy, marshy and not very promising at all. So my current plan, which may change, is you see there's some woods down there, some patches of snow. I'm going to see if that might be a good spot, whether there's some shelter from the trees. It looks very tempting because it's in the sunshine at the moment, so that might help. So I'm heading down there and let's see what we find. So it looks like we've got a couple hundred meters down to the woods of trip of discovery. So I'll talk to you when we get there. Right, I seem to have spent half my life stomping around the Lake District looking for somewhere to pitch tonight, but I think this will be as good as anything. There's a little handkerchief-sized spot here that's relatively flat. It's drier than what's around it anyway. There's a phone signal and a rather nice view off down the valley towards Grasmere actually, so that's quite nice. The sun has just dropped behind the hills, so it's starting to get a bit cold. So I think there comes a time where you just have to make the best of it. The ground's nice and soft anyway, sort of mossy. Hopefully the pegs will hold all right. It's not too windy, he said, just as a gust arrives. And across the way, I've got a great view of Helvellyn, which is looming over me. I'll bring you back when the tent's up. Fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Right, well there it is. Don't look too closely. It's not my best pitch, it's not my finest hour, but the terrain is so uneven, and under the surface there's lots of rocks and stones, so getting the pegs in was a nightmare. It's remarkable how once the tent is pitched, somehow I relax and unwind quite a lot, because I know I've got my shelter and nice and warm and comfortable inside, and food and everything like that, so it's all good. Before I do anything else and relax, I'm going to get the sleep system out, get the sleep pad inflated, and get the sleeping bag lofting, because the sooner I start doing that, the sooner it'll be warm for me to get into. Right, at last, safely in the tent, in the sleeping bag, nice warm coat on, and you won't be able to see it, but I've made a little hot water bottle which is down by my feet, and it is bliss. There's no other word for it, bliss, because inevitably my toes get quite cold, damp and everything like that after a day stomping around through boggy ground. And I've got warm dry socks on and a hot water bottle, and my feet are thanking me for it. They are loving every second. To be honest, I found this pitch in the nick of time. The hillside gets steeper further down, so this was the last chance saloon, and I think we've made the best of a pretty dodgy job as it happens. So it all turned out all right in the end. Right, that's all set now. I've had my tea, had a nice mug of OXO, and also a little bit of whiskey to help me sleep for the night. It feels colder than it is. The thermometer I've got in the tent is reading 4 degrees. To be honest, it feels more like 1 or 2. But I'm going to be really nice and snug. I've got my nice warm sleeping bag and a hot water bottle in. So that's me set for the night. So that's it from me for today. And I'll see you in the morning and see what it brings. Good morning. 7 o'clock the next morning. I've got dragon breath. The breath's steaming up in the tent, so that's a sign it's a bit chilly, as you can probably tell from what I'm wearing. So we need to talk about the weather forecast and plans for today. I'm having a right old dither. So I've spent the last hour, it seems, going through all the weather forecasts for today. And typically, of course, there's a lot of variety. One forecast is forecasting sort of sun and clouds, mix of sun and clouds, cool temperatures and light winds. All of the other forecasts are for damp and fog. So bottom line is, the consensus is that it's going to be a bit of a miserable day. And one forecast is forecasting winds up to 40-mile-an-hour gusts on the top of Berlin. So what you going to do? So my coffee's brewing, the porridge is soaking. The tent's pretty dry inside, thanks to the breeze. A little bit of condensation on the outer, nothing to worry about. And the breeze at the moment is gently moving the tent around. We had some pretty strong gusts in the night, but right now it's pretty benign. So it looks like there isn't going to be much beautiful sunshine, views and scenery today. Perhaps I had it all yesterday. What I might do is wait till it's a bit lighter outside and pop my head out the door and see what it is actually like here. You know, when you're camping and walking in the hills, you've got to be flexible with your plans. You've got to watch the weather forecast, got to play it safe, especially when you're on your own. So I've got to be wise and not too gung-ho. So, still undecided. I was kind of hoping that talking to camera would help to crystallise the thinking in my mind, but that hasn't worked. So perhaps a cup of coffee will do the job instead. So that's the current view out of the tent door. And it looks a bit contrary to the forecast saying there's going to be an inversion. If anything, the valley looks clear, and it's the mountain top that's shrouded in cloud. So that possibly helps my decision making, because I don't mind flogging my way uphill if there's going to be a nice view at the top when I come out from the cloud. But slogging your way uphill only to get into the cloud and no views, well, that's a different matter, isn't it? They're not quite the payoff that makes the effort of going up the hill worthwhile. Okay, so I've waited 10 or 15 minutes. Gonna have a quick look again outside, see what the weather's doing. Once the camera focuses. So it's looking worse, would you say? I kind of get the impression it's going to be like this all day with cloud banks rolling in and out. And that's the scene above the tent. Clouds scudding through the valley and across the tops. Occasional breaks, but very, very moody up there. Well, it's all very pretty and picturesque and moody and inspiring, but I'm looking at the way that the clouds are speeding down the valley and over the tops, and that tells me it's very windy and fresh. Right, yeah, I'm looking at the tops and it's really windy and cloudy up there, so I think the forecast of 40-mile-an-hour winds is probably quite accurate. So yeah, I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm going to stay a bit lower, I think, today. All that remains is the finishing packing up the tent and getting going and staying warm. Everything's packed up now. Looking around, I don't think there was a better spot for last night, but the clouds, it's all very moody, isn't it? Very low clouds, occasionally a little bit of a break, a little bit of sunshine poking through, but I think it's going to be a pretty grim one today. So destination next is somewhere up there. I don't know if you can see the way the clouds are moving across the sky there. Yeah, it's going to be breezy up top, so I've got the wind shell on as well. There's going to be a mile or two of ascent, which will warm me up nicely. So might as well get busy then. I'm just prattling, aren't I, really? I'm just putting it off because I know that the next hour or two is going to be uphill through tussocky, rocky, wet stuff. Well, what do you expect, Charles, if you come to the Lake District in January? What did you think you were going to get? We're not getting anything done standing here, are we? Let's get busy. Like, the tops are just about showing under the clouds, so that's good news. But there's a very overcast, gloomy feel to things. Foreboding, grim. So you might ask, are you enjoying this, Charles? Well, I've got to say yes, haven't I? I've come up all the way up here and put in all the effort and everything. Being out here, stomping across the hills with my pack on my back, it's pretty good actually. I really love being out in these sort of wide open spaces, and I love the freedom that backpacking gives you. My pack feels noticeably lighter this morning, perhaps because my body's just getting accustomed to it, you know. I think with a good quality pack, nicely adjusted, it really does become sort of one with your body, and so you don't really notice that you're carrying it. I always look forward to that moment when you put on the rucksack. I look forward to it, anticipate it, when your first reaction when you pick it up and put it on your shoulders is, does it feel heavy or does it feel pretty much okay? This morning felt pretty much okay. So basically I'm heading up into that gap there, and there's no path. I'm going to slightly swing away from the trees now because I don't want to descend here. I'm going to carry on across and then up. Nothing to see here, just some old bloke out of breath on the side of a mountain. Look, it's all murky, cloudy and gloomy. I'll come to the Lake District for the views. Wrong. Nearly at the top, 2,300 feet up It's a shade over 700 meters, and I'm just about level with the cloud base. So the views are coming and going, but thankfully I've done a lot of the climbing, so it's a bit more level now. So I've just stopped to check my navigation because the cloud base has descended here, and it's all very gloomy and dark and difficult to know which way you're going. So it'd be very easy to drift off the path, mainly because the path, such as it is, yeah, it is there, is extremely vague, so easy to lose it in this kind of murk. I wish I could report on the stupendous views from here in the heart of the Lake District, but you'll have to use your imagination. And that's what I'm walking into, but it's made a bit more complicated because the ground is very wet. You can see a boggy section there, which makes life a bit more interesting, especially in trail runners. Oh, I'm looking a bit windswept. So I've made it to the top of our raise, and there's a little bit of shelter in the summit cairn here, which is extremely welcome. So the wind's picked up. It certainly is gusting 30-40 miles an hour. Blustering wind knocking you sideways all the time. And just to add an extra bit of spice, there's some spots of rain in it as well. Oh, deep joy. So I'm not going to linger here, tempting as it is. I'm going to head off up pretty soon, just take 5 here, sip of water, and then head on back past Sergeant Man, down to Stickle Tarn and beyond. Well, it's very exhilarating, no? Woo! Right, it's a bit windy, but I've just come round the back of Sergeant Man, and I can see the lakes at Stickle Tarn, and so we're going to drop down into Langdale now. I've got to tell you, it's wild. It's really windy, powerful wind, and bitingly cold with the wind chill as well, hence I'm all bundled up like this. So the good news is though, downhill from now on. Yes! Whoa, well, I've been descending quite steeply for the last, I don't know, feels like an hour. But finally dropped out of the wind a little bit. I'm nearly back down at Stickle Tarn, which is a sight for sore eyes. Up on the top, the wind was wicked. It was really strong, really cold. So it feels really nice and balmy and sheltered down here now. I'm a little bit sad to be leaving the hilltops, to be absolutely frank with you, because put a lot of effort to get up there, and it's really exhilarating up top, but it's not a place you want to linger too long in weather like this. I'm quite looking forward to getting warm and comfortable again. All right, so here I am at last, back at the car, back at base. I'll tell you what, that descent from Stickle Tarn goes on forever. Anyway, thanks for watching so far. I hope you've enjoyed the trip as much as I have. It has been great, and thanks for subscribing and giving me a like.